will be the reading for the sign of Virgo for the month of September 2026. The deck that I'm using is the Rider-Waite deck by Pamela Coleman Smith and Arthur Waite. And what I've done is I've pulled 4 rows of 3 cards each and an overall energy card. The overall energy card will affect in which way each of the weeks unfold for you in the month of September. So let's get started. So your energy card talks about tension. You have the Two of Swords. Talks about tension and trying to be impartial and making a choice or a decision. But you're going to have to be tolerant, Virgo, okay? A solution's going to bring about relief, of course. And you know, you're going to have to choose possibly between 2 things, 2 situations, 2 jobs, 2 ways of living, maybe even 2 people or 2 relationships. But either choice is not really going to be satisfactory or up to par. It does talk about laws, rules of order, red tape, and bureaucratic complications are going to be part of the solution. So you're going to look for win-win situations, but you're looking for overall peace and harmony in your environment and in your relationships. It does say that you do need to define your boundaries and say just exactly how much you're willing to put up with. There's going to be disagreements between 2 groups of people. Do not take sides. Stay the hell out of it, Virgo. This is your energy card, okay? You know, people are going to argue of their own accord. Stay out of it. Don't try to get involved, okay? Don't take sides. So it does talk about stalemates. It talks about delays, stalemated situations that are going to put off a decision that you might have to make. Now, as I'm looking down that first week, I'm seeing that overall, I'm seeing that there might be a serious illness that someone is dealing with, and that could very well be a fire or an earth sign, such as yourself, Virgo. Okay, so Virgo, Capricorn, or a Taurus. So someone's dealing with some health issues, very serious health issues. Okay, and there's 2 people here. There's an earth sign female and a water sign male. Now, the water sign male might be a Pisces, a Cancer, or a Scorpio. So be aware of that. So in that first week, you're going to be dealing with health issues, okay? It does talk about having to use your inventiveness and being aware of risks that you're going to take. I mean, you know, if you're going to visit someone and they've got an illness that is possibly you might be able to catch it, right? You have to be aware of those risks and make sure you're garbing up, or that you've got a mask on, or that you've been vaccinated, whatever it may be. Now, it also talks about you having to outthink people who are trying to, you know, they're your rivals. They're not your friends. They're your competitors, okay? So be aware of details. If you're going for a job interview, be aware of the details. Be aware of what job it is you're vying for, what the responsibilities are. Do you have the education and the work experience, okay? Those type of things. But also, you know, be aware of risks that are going to be involved in some type of movement and any type of unexpected events that might take place. And, you know, question your own motives, your own actions. Why are you really doing this? Is this something that you want to get involved in? Is this something that is beneficial to your life? Okay, so be aware of that. Now, it talks about mental challenges. It talks about you're going to find a way forward. Okay, you're having a vision of what it is that you need to achieve, and Virgos have a way of achieving what they set out to do. So it does talk about experimentation with new ways of doing things, of dealing with things, of health issues, maybe holistic methods, okay? Talks about planning and problem solving, using you know, problem solving strategies in order to move forward. So something unexpected might happen, and that might bring about a finality. It could be a loss of a job, loss of a relationship, could even be someone that is crossing to the next realm, okay? But it also talks about a redistribution of material things. Now, if there is someone in your life who has crossed to the next side, to the other side, to the great divide, okay, there might be a dispersion of their belongings where you're having to get involved in that, where you're having to fairly distribute things, okay? So be aware of that. Now, it also talks about redesigning something. It talks about a creative design arrangement, an organization, where you're having to organize something to make it beneficial to all those people involved, okay? Or maybe someone has passed, or maybe you're having to distribute money or properties, okay? And you're having to be very organized in doing that, so you're not like overextending your generosity. Now it also talks about you experimenting with different lifestyles, okay? Maybe you're a city dweller and maybe you're deciding to homestead, maybe you're deciding to move to the country, okay? And grow a garden, those type of things. But it does talk about different food and different ways of either utilizing those foods, learning how to cook in a different mode, maybe learning how to eat healthier, okay? Those type of things. But as you're moving into the middle part of that first week, okay, you have that earth sign female. And at the first part of this first week, you were dealing with serious illness that possibly was someone else's illness, okay? Now, this is a earth sign, such as yourself. It's someone who's very affectionate. They like that physical aspect of life, but they're very cautious and very responsible. This sounds like you, Virgo. They're sensible, they're organized, they're very good with money, very creative, very detail focused. The nurture, so it would be someone who, maybe yourself, maybe you have children, or maybe you have a parental figure that is an earth sign, okay? Now, this individual is overworked. And they're overworked because they're taking care of everyone else's needs. Everyone else and their dog, their cat, and their goldfish, okay? And they're overwhelmed. They can't do it anymore. Is this you, Virgo? Are you doing too much for other people and not focusing on your health? So it does say that you might have to pull back a bit, but it also says that you're going to be involved in some type of childcare, healthcare, domestic job, maybe even becoming a counselor, a social worker, okay? It's like that old vibe, that old-fashioned type of maternal figure where they do everything, they take care of everything. Are you becoming the nurturer for people in your life? Maybe family members, maybe an elderly parent, maybe your children, right? Maybe you're dealing with someone who's dealing with a health issue and you're helping them and you're becoming almost like their mother, almost like their nurturer, okay? Now it also talks about a pregnancy. So if it's not that you're helping someone out who is, you're becoming their nurture, their caretaker, okay? Maybe you're having a child. Maybe you're going to become a first-time parent or a second-time parent or a third-time parent, okay? It does talk about parenthood and specifically motherhood. So if you are of the female persuasion and you're a Virgo, you might be becoming a mother at this point in time. If you're a male and you're of the Virgo persuasion, this might be your spouse. This might be your romantic partner, okay? So it's something new that is taking place. It's a new birth. It's a new life that's coming into either a romantic inclination or into a job or a creative endeavor, okay? Now, it does say that you will be starting a new business of sorts, maybe getting a new job, getting involved in a new job. And maybe that new job is caretaking of children, okay, taking care of their needs. That could also be that fruitful episode, okay? Now, it does say that a maternal figure, a female energy, okay, with that nurture, so which would be a mother, is going to help you with money in that first week of September. So we're going to move into the last part of that first week. And there's a water sign male. It's a Pisces, a Cancer, a Scorpio, and it is a male energy, okay? Now, that could be a doctor, a counselor, a priest, a parent, a caretaker, someone who takes care of other people, okay? Takes care or offers assistance in some way to other people, possibly in healthcare. Okay, someone who's very sociably responsible. They promote harmony in their environment, very sensitive and loving, and a very strong family tie. But it does say that there are going to be father issues involved in that first week of September. Now, there is a male energy, a water sign individual, a male, a paternal figure, an uncle, a grandfather, a brother, a father, okay? And this person is going to help you in some way. So be prepared for that. So we're getting both the male and the female energies in that first week, both the nurturer and the protector, okay? And you're going to be dealing with these type of issues in the first week. So let's move into the second week. And in the second week, you have got the Two of Cups and it's straight up. And that talks about an emotional relationship or even a mutual interest or even a bond, committed to something that is similar to what someone else is vying for, okay? So a similar interest or a situation. But you're having to make a choice and you might have to change your plans. Yeah, you might have to change your plans to please someone else or to base your plans on the needs of another person. And it could very well be a romantic partner. Mm-hmm. But it does talk about cooperation with other people for a goal. Okay. So there's going to be a little bit of give and take here, but it is a healthy give and take. It does talk about romance entering your life, maybe even a marriage, a commitment with another person toward a mutual goal. Okay, whether that be romance, marriage, whether it be building a home, whether it be, going on vacation, whatever it may be, it is a mutual bond, mutual respect, give and take in this relationship. Okay, now if you did have an argument with possibly a romantic partner in that first or the second week, the first couple of days that second week, it does talk about reconciliation. Now that could be between two people, two romantic partners, it could be two friends, two family members, but there is going to be a reconciliation where all the negativity is going to drop by the wayside. Now you've got two cards, the Two of Cups and the Two of Pentacles. So you have the Two of Pentacles in the middle 2 days of that second week, and that talks about money issues, okay? It talks about money issues. And it basically is saying that, you might have got into something a little bit too quick. I mean, the Two of Cups was, reconciliation with someone and helping someone out or joining forces with someone, being committed to the same type of endeavor that they were doing, right? Wanting to get involved. And then in the middle part, you're like thinking, I'm running out of money here. I don't know if I can afford to do this. So it talks about taking on too many responsibilities. And, you're feeling a little uneasy about making decisions. So you might have to postpone something. Postpone some of those big decisions, those tough decisions, okay? Maybe you need to wait a little while before you jump the gun and get into a new business or a new endeavor, okay? Maybe someone's trying to talk you into starting a new business and you're saying, well, I'm not ready at this point. Now, it does say that you might need more confidence, gain more experience or maturity in that type of a scenario, okay? Now, it does say that you and a partner, whether it be a romantic partner, whether it be a business partner, you're pulled in two different directions. So the fact that you were vying for the same thing at one time, it's changed. You're not ready and they are. They're ready to move forward and you're not. And so possibly that might be the ending of a business partnership, okay? Now, if you promise to do something, don't be unreliable, okay? If you say you're going to do something, if you say you're going to be somewhere, be there, okay? Do it. If you say you're going to do something, do it. But it's also pointing to the fact that at the start of the month, maybe you need to look at the plans that you have for the future and slow down a little bit and don't promise more than you can deliver, okay? But if you've already promised, you might have to adjust your schedule, your work schedule, your life schedule, your romantic schedule, okay? In order to keep your word. So set priorities and focus. And there is some money issues where you're kind of like juggling the funds in order to accommodate the needs in your life. So the last card in that second week is a good card because you have the Ace of Pentacles and it's straight up. And that talks about working toward solid goals, okay? Material self-betterment. Especially if you've been going through something that was like instability financially, okay? Or even a job loss. So it does talk about a new job that's coming in, new responsibilities, new objectives, maybe even more money. So maybe you were trying to juggle a part-time job and a full-time job, and now you kind of had to decide, right? But it does say that the job that you're going to take is going to provide you with that financial power and that financial security. Now, it's saying that especially in the last week or the last couple of days of that second week, You need that stability and you need that security, okay? So it does talk about you possibly getting a promotion or a successful job hunt in the second week of September, the last 2 days of that second week. So it will be a very successful job hunt or a promotion possibly in your own job. You're going to be offered a new job or a new line of work or a new venue of sort, okay? Money is going to be coming to you that you waited for. Might even be a gift or a lotto winning, or you won a contest or even a scholarship. So the resources are going to be available to you that you need in order to move forward financially, okay? But here's the trick here. Set worthwhile objectives, okay? People around you are going to show off what they have, whether you have that or not. So, just look the other way. Don't let it fester, okay? You will succeed in your time. Third week. Here we go again, Virgo. In that third week, you got the 10 of Wands straight up. You're holding your own. You're keeping it going. You're moving forward, okay? But you have multiple responsibilities. But you're very healthy. You're feeling focused. You're able to hold it all together, and you're feeling very strong and very resilient. You're holding it together. Truthfully, you are. And there might be people in your circle of energy who are kind of floundering, and you're holding it together for both yourself and them. That could be your children, your parents, your friends, your romantic partner, okay? Now, it does say that you're able to contribute. Yeah. And maybe someone else isn't. And so you're kind of like patting the pocket for them. You're helping them, okay? Because you're able to. Now, it does say that you're wanting to be involved in your life. Instead of hiding behind that door, you're wanting to get involved in your life. You're wanting to do things. You're tired of just working and sleeping and eating. You want a life. You want your life. Now, it does say that you're stressed to the max because of this new responsibility and moving forward very quickly, okay? So it does talk about you taking on a financial, a health, or a partnership burden for someone else, but you're stressed about it. You're willing to do it because you love them and you care about them, but you got to be very careful that you're not overdoing it, that you're not carrying too much of a burden for someone else, okay? There has to be an equal give and take, whether it's a romantic partnership, whether it's your children, whether it's your friends, your family, your co-workers. Make sure that everything is divided equally. So as you're moving into the middle 2 days of that third week, you have the 3 of Wands straight up. And that talks about looking to the future and seeing what else is out there, okay? It does talk about a business interaction. It might even be a shopping trip you're planning. You're going shopping, or you're going to an event with friends or family members. An enterprise, maybe starting a new business and joining forces with friends or family members, okay? Now, it does talk about a communications related job. You're going to have to use that very creative self-expression that all Virgos have. So it talks about work on the internet. Are you going to start a YouTube channel? Writing or teaching, maybe even starting an online program of sorts. Public speaking or belonging to a committee, getting involved in volunteer work. So it does talk about communication is going to come back to you, okay? So you might have put out an application for a job. Maybe to join a school program, maybe to get involved in a new learning endeavor, okay? Maybe even put an application out for a loan or a credit card. You're going to have a communication coming back to you that is going to be very fruitful. It's going to be very positive, okay? Now, it does say that there is going to be a recognition of your talents. Now, it also talks about 3 friends, 3 people, three different personalities that are joining together to start something new, okay? Starting a business maybe with 3 family members who have different opinions or different views of things. It does talk about increased activities and meeting interesting people. So getting, as I said, getting involved in your life. Putting your knowledge outward, being creative, and bringing more people within to your circle of energy. Okay, so we're going to move into the last 2 days of that third week. And you have the 8 of Swords, and it's straight up. So you're feeling a little powerless right now, okay? Kind of like hopeless. You feel like things are getting worse. You've taken on too much of a burden for other people, and you're starting to see that it's starting to wear on you, okay? But you have the ability to control your actions, to change that dynamic, that situation, that circumstance, okay? You can fix this, no matter how bad it is. So stop limiting your life with this learned helplessness that you're dealing with. You have the power, you have the smarts, you have the gumption, okay? And maybe you need to stand up to the plate and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not doing all this alone. I need you to step forward and to get involved and to put in your input and half of that physical work. It has to be a mutual give and take, no matter what situation it is, a job, co-workers, friends, family members, okay? It could simply be trying to get your family members or whoever you're living with to help with the damn dishes. Could be something that small where you're tired of doing all the work for like no accolades. Nobody respects it. Nobody appreciates it. So you're going to have to stand your ground, Virgo. Now, it's almost like you see that you continually ask people to put in their effort and they're not doing it, okay? And so you're kind of thinking, okay, I need someone to help me with this scenario. So maybe you're going to seek out a mentor. You're going to look for someone to provide you with some guidance. Find someone or something to help you in this quest that you're looking for. Maybe you're looking just simply for some extra time just to spend on yourself. And you're so inundated with everybody else's issues, you don't have that little bit of freedom where you can go for a walk by yourself, where you can meditate, where you can go for a coffee, or maybe even down to a local restaurant and have a little sit-down meal by yourself, where you can focus on you for a change. So third week, it's all about carrying the burdens for other people and having to stand your ground and say, no, I'm not taking care of everybody. It's about time I had some me time. Someone worried about me or took care of me, or even just simply having that space to yourself. So we're finally in the last week of September. And the first card you have is the Two of Wands. And that talks about you having to make a choice. 2 invitations, 2 projects, 2 jobs, maybe even 2 colleges. You're wanting to take a program of study. You're having to decide. Maybe even 2 residences. Maybe you're thinking of moving and you've found another accommodation and you're looking, should I do this or should I not? Should I stay where I am or should I move? Okay. Could even talk about 2 different ways of living. So, you know, you're kind of torn here because you have this desire to go with whatever is more familiar, maybe a familiar area, environment, a familial way of living. Maybe, you know, you wanted to live in a log house and now all of a sudden you're thinking, well, no, I think a brick house would be better, right? It's almost like what was that, the wolf and the 3 pigs there? Yeah, it's like, you know, do you want a straw house? Do you want a brick house? Or do you want a wood house, right? Could simply be something as simple as that. You're having to make a decision and you're kind of pulling towards something that feels the same. You're looking for the same type of energies, okay? So it's kind of saying that you're going to have to sit down and decide what it is that you really truly want in your life. 2 courses of study. Have you really decided in what direction you want to take your education, your life, your relationship? Okay. 2 jobs, dividing your time between maybe 2 families, 2 people, 2 children, okay, 2 friends. So you might have to modify your plans in order to, with a romantic partner or even your children, or maybe even a partner at work, a business partner. So it does say that when you're part of that type of dynamic, a partnership, whether it's a marriage, a romantic inclination, whether it's just simply a job, okay, when you're in a committed relationship where you're putting those energies into something that someone else is also putting their energies into, okay? It has to be an equal give, here and take. And you've dealt with this in that 3rd week and once again now in that 4th week. So it does say that you are going to seek help from, you know, influential people in your circle of energy. You're going to seek their cooperation. You're going to try to get everybody to be team players, okay? Now, treat everyone equally. Don't give one person more power, more prestige than another person, okay? If you have prosperity and power, don't misuse it. Don't sit high on that castle or on that hill and point the finger at anyone, okay? Because karma always comes back. It always has a kickback. So be aware of that. If you have new ideas that you're wanting to get involved in, okay, get feedback on those ideas and roll it around in your head before you make a final decision. The pros and the cons, write it down on a piece of paper, okay? Job contacts, exciting job opportunities that are opening up, and even rewarding interactions are coming into play in that first couple of days of the last week. So let's move into the middle 2 days of that last week. You might have made some plans in the first 2 days of the last week of September, okay? You might have said, okay, I am going to move to this location, right? But that move is going to cost money. It's going to cost money. And you might have trouble getting the finances or even the resources that you need. There might be some financial issues that are coming up. And with that Three of Pentacles reversed, it does talk about money that might have a 3 in it. 300, 3,000, whatever it may be. It could simply be $3 for a bus ticket. Now, if you have a bad attitude, you're not willing to put that effort in, okay? Know that it's not going to make it any easier on you, okay? As above, so below. If you believe that you can fix it, you can fix it. If you think that the world's going to hell in a handbasket, the world's going to go to hell in a handbasket, truthfully. So it does talk about you needing to improve your skills. Now, there might be someone in your circle of energy who doesn't value your skills or your abilities, and they might downplay them. Okay, they might say, well, no, you don't have the skills to be able to do that job, so you shouldn't do it, right? So they're basically kind of put down before you even get started. Or are you doing this to someone else? So be aware that that kickback sometimes hurts more than moving forward, okay? So be aware of what you say and how you downplay other people's efforts. And if someone says to you, well, you're not going to be able to afford to do that, well, you probably won't, right? But if you make a plan, an organized plan, you very well will be successful. So let's move into the last 2 days of that last week. So there's a few things that are taking place here, okay? Financial difficulties, wanting to get out of a situation, a circumstance, seeing opportunities further afield and not being able to do it because being held back financially in some way, okay? And someone might be withholding money from you because they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to be successful, okay? The last couple of days, here we go. There's an accumulation of problems. So you feel like giving up. You're like, damn, I can't win for losing, right? It might even be world economics. It might be banking problems. It might be, global problems, okay? So watch your back. Watch your money. Be careful who you trust. So if you trust someone to do something for you, I'd be really careful who I give money to in that last week of September. Very careful. Be careful who you trust with your personal information. If you're working online, make sure you erase your history. Make sure you turn off your computer. You sign out of your banking, those type of things, okay? Now, there is someone here, and I am going to pull an additional card. There is someone here who might be talking bad about you. They might be talking bad about you. They might be kind of putting you down, okay? Might even be causing problems at work and telling your employees or the people at Human Resources, oh, they're not doing the job right, and they're saying that you're not accommodating the needs of the job, and maybe you're not suited for it, okay? So be aware of that. They might be just trying to cause problems because they might be jealous. Might be someone trying to cause problems in your environment, in your work, even in your romantic inclinations, okay? Might even be someone throwing a wrench in a family relationship because they're jealous of the fact that you're getting along with someone, okay? So be aware of that. Now, it does say you need to look after your health, yeah. And you need to get rid of any long-standing patterns in your lifestyle or your diet. Maybe even your relationships. Maybe you have this type of learned helplessness where you don't feel like you can make decisions, okay, where you ask other people's advice, okay? And those other people you're asking, they might have the know-it-all to give you the appropriate answer. So make your own decisions. Think things through. If it's your lifestyle or your diet, are you working too hard? Are you focused on other people? Are you focused on your romantic inclination more than you are your health? Okay? Is it your diet? Are you eating too many trans fats? Are you not focused on your diet? And it does talk about eating the wrong type of food. So be aware of that. Now, we're moving down into that family dynamic in that last week. You have to break the cycle. It's up to you, Virgo, to break that damn cycle. Now, problems that you've dealt with your whole life are possibly in your youth, okay? There is something that you have had to deal with in the past. It could even be in a previous relationship you were in. You are the one that will break that cycle. You are the one with the power. You are the only one that can fix this circumstance, right? So you can choose to live the way you did in the past, maybe even going back to an old relationship. Shake your head, Virgo, shake your head. Don't do it, because remember the old saying, if you do what you did, you're going to get what you got. Simple as that, plain and simple. Now, it does talk about a war at the end of September. Acts of terrorism. It talks about world issues and economies are going to affect you in some way. And that very well might be what you were dealing with in the middle part of that last week, where the finances were on the shaky side. Okay? So what I'm seeing here for the overall energy for the month is that, yeah, you've had to deal with a lot of things, and having to make choosing between people and choosing between circumstances and jobs and opportunities, okay? You've had to deal with a lot. So as you're moving into October, know that this is the end of it. This is the finality, okay? You might be dealing with disappointment. You might be dealing with conflict. You might be dealing with illness, okay? But know that, Virgo, you have the power to turn this around. You are your own power. You can change your life, okay? You're the only one that can change your life. You can take all the advice you want. You can have all the money in the world. You can have the best job, the best kids, the best car, the best clothes. But if you don't focus on yourself and you focus on your health and you don't focus on those things that matter to you, what's the point of it all? Okay, so be aware that this is the month where you need to look at your life, your body, your health, your mind, and your relationships. So I shall see you in October. Namaste, my friends. Bye-bye.